No.
Hello,
Good evening. Good
everybody.
evening.
Oh, I'm in the middle of still sharing, Dan. So, do you want to introduce Mr. Downs?
No.
No.
Yeah, of course I will. Good evening,
No,
everybody, and welcome
no. I
to the
guess this week is Eric.
Eric. Yes.
Eric,
Let's
do it,
bombard
Eric.
Eric with lots of questions. Eric, who's your favourite pop star?
My favorite pop star?
Yeah.
Right now it's
I've
Avatar.
heard you're into
That's my
K-pop.
favorite band, but
Who's your favourite band?
Avatar.
Cool. Right, that's enough now interviewing Eric. Now let's get back to Jonathan. Thank you, Eric.
Oh,
What an amazing.
my favorite male pop star is the late great Scott Walker. My favorite female pop star, who I've lost it over since I was about 13, is Marianne Faithfull, and she's as sexy now in her 80s as she was when she was 16 and starting.
Is she the standard of slutty aunt? Is she
No,
that quality?
she's a sort of she's one of those chicks that you sort of idolize and put on a pedestal. And
Fair enough.
Don't mention Mars bars.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s. Good evening, young William Stubby. I hope you and your good lady wife are faring well and are keeping out of this weather, this heat.
Hi, Nigel.
God.
Hello,
They
Nigel.
were-
Sorry, I
they
missed you there,
were good
Nigel.
lads.
Hello to you. So, Jonathan, when we spoke to you last time, you were talking about, I think we were going to get into the point of your experience with the Woodwoes. And I was hoping if we could pick that up from there, or you could give us a recap of it right up to the point that, to now.
Okay, it's a long and rather complicated story. I cannot remember. How many people are watching, by the way?
We have four at the moment.
Well, I do hope you 4 people in the audience, as well as you 3 people here, if I'm repeating something you've already heard me say, forgive me. I'm just a silly old man who does things like that.
Nettie.
Hi, Nettie. Yeah, Nettie's in now. 5 now. We've got 5.
But this all happened back in the spring, in the winter of 2003. Because during the December of 2002, I'd been very ill. And I had the worst bipolar attack I've ever had in my life. Basically, on the anniversary of 9/11, on September the 11th, 2002, I collapsed on Paddington Station. And I was in the bar with my mate Richard Freeman, who many of you know, and my mate Craig Glenday, who was and still is the editor of the Guinness Book of Records. And we were on the piss. I hadn't been feeling good all day. I collapsed. They poured me into the train to take us back to Exeter. Graham came with my car to collect me and Richard from the station, and basically they half carried me, put me to bed, and I didn't get out of bed then until December. It was horrible. But during December, there'd been a whole string of sightings of what the British press and SAG, all sorts of other people who really damn well should know better, insisted on calling British Bigfoot. Well, they ain't Bigfoot, and they ain't Sasquatches, and there ain't any of the other things that the press like to call them, because the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and the other regional names for them are very likely to be a flesh and blood unknown creature from North America. There is quite a lot of supporting evidence that would suggest this. When similar things are seen in Britain, the idea of there being a flesh and blood higher primate that nobody knows in Britain is completely and utterly ludicrous. I'll give you several reasons. One, is that should I have my phone this way round? Oh, I've taken that.
Oh, that's better.
You're bigger now.
By the way, forgive me, boys and girls. I am in bed, but I'm not very well again at the moment. And I've got an awful lot of stuff happening. One reason that they are so unlikely to be flesh and blood animals as to be almost impossible is that there are no fossil records of any non-human primates in Britain. And there are no fossil records of non-human primates in Western Europe. As far as I know, the nearest primate fossils, I think, are in Romania. But if somebody wants to contradict me on that, I'm quite happy to be contradicted. But I vaguely remember that they were they were some monkey-like creatures that were found fossil in Romania. But there ain't no fossil record in Britain, where the most overpopulated country in Europe. We've got the most denuded ecosystems in Europe. We've got the crappiest biotope in Europe. And we have got the crappiest biodiversity in Europe. Britain and its wildlife have not evolved through natural selection. They've evolved through unnatural selection. Because the reason that we don't have all the animals that are still in Europe is that we kill them all. We're the only country in Western Europe that doesn't have wolves anymore. We're one of the only countries in Western Europe that doesn't have bears. We're one of the only countries in Western Europe that doesn't have jackals and lynx. It's ridiculous. We wiped out the wolf in the most recent estimates are in the middle of the 18th century. And there are various places around Britain and Ireland that claim to be the place where the last wolf was killed. But it's a bit like the number of stately homes in Britain who claim that Queen Elizabeth I stayed overnight there. Should have had to live to the age of about 103 to have been able to do that. But there is a great paucity of portable protein for any higher primate to eat. And the places where these things are reported, and this is the weirdest thing, the places that they're reported aren't the Highlands of Scotland or the places where it could be argued that there are big stretches of wilderness. They're places like the one that I'm talking about tonight, which is a place called Bowland Lake, which is a tiny area of woodland, about 40 square miles, which is about 45 miles northeast of Newcastle city centre. And truly, I don't like it when I appear to be a skeptic or a spoil sport or anything. But the idea of there being a whole population of higher primates in a tiny wood around a visitor centre in Northumberland is utterly, utterly ridiculous. Hold on a second. There's somebody... Oh, she's gone now. There's somebody coming up who would have enjoyed watching the show. Hang on, I'm just going to grab her. Talk amongst yourselves, my dears.
He's grabbing a woman.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Dan, have you done something different to your beard?
No.
It looks different.
Does it look full-bodied and luxurious and glimmery?
I'll tell you later.
Thanks.
You look like one of the old black and white pictures I've seen of King Farouk of Egypt.
Mhm.
Don't call him a king, for Christ's sake, Jonathan.
Yeah, cool.
No.
I was calling him a Farouk.
Farouk. I'm loving it. From now henceforth, I want to
God,
be
he's
called
weird.
Farouk.
But anyway, back to the thing. The chances of there being a living population of flesh and blood creatures in anywhere in Britain, really. But although I suppose there's a small possibility that they could be up in one of the wilder bits of Scotland, or even one of the wilder bits of Ireland, or even the middle of Dartmoor or somewhere. But in a boating lake just north of Newcastle, no. It's as ludicrous as the idea that you have a population of these things living in a park in Manchester. And now I wonder who it was who claimed that that was the case. Answers on a postcard, please. Uncle John, Magic Moments, care of Spooky Viv.
Hey?
You got drawn into it then without even knowing.
Yeah.
Anyway, there'd been a whole string of these sightings. And so what we decided we were going to... I love that dog of yours.
She's lovely, isn't she? What are you doing?
She's gorgeous.
When you see Archie, you're going to have to commiserate with him because he was nibbling his flank. He's got a raw bit, and so he's wearing a cone of shame to stop himself.
Oh, bless him.
Which he doesn't like, and he's sulking about.
I don't blame you.
Anyway, we'd heard, I think there were 7 or 8 different sightings that we were sent within a period of about a month. And so I decided that we were going to go up there. And as soon as Richard came back from his Christmas holiday with his grandparents, me, Graham, Richard, and a guy called John, who used to work for us, drove up to, drove right all the way up to Geordieland. And we were staying at a house owned by an old friend of mine, a guy called Dave Curtis, whose daughter now works for me, and I've been Uncle John to her since she was about knee-high to a, not even a grasshopper, knee-high to a very small grasshopper. And she's now, gosh, she's 25 now, and she still sits in my knee, gives me hugs and calls me Uncle John. So, but that's... So I'm sidestepping again. I had been told by, at the time, I had more contacts in the national press than I do now. And I can't remember if it was the Sun or the Daily Mirror, but there was a acquaintance of mine who was the local stringer for one of them. And he warned me that a representative of the other one, so if it was, but what am I saying? If it was the guy from the Sun who told me this, he was warning me that there was a spy from the Daily Mirror who was up there at the lake wearing a monkey costume, jumping out at people and trying to get an exciting story. So we did what any reputable citizen scientist would do. I reached an agreement with the guy from the Sun that if I could pull off what I thought I could pull off, they would pay me rather a large sum of money. So we bought paintball guns and rope and some handcuffs. And we were going to catch this bloke in the monkeys, splash him with paint, hog tie him, then drive down the M1 as fast as we could and dump him, having warned the guy from the Sun, first of all, that we were going to dump him on the front doorstep covered in paint and hog tied to the Daily Mirror. And the guy at the Sun would then do an interview with him and us. For which I think I was going to get £1,000, which I think was probably quite worth it, even 20 1 year ago. So we went up there not thinking that there was a hope in hell of us having any scientific result of this or possible. I just thought we'd be able to go up, have a jolly joke, totally abuse a stringer from one of the nastiest daily newspapers, and then come back again with some money that would then help us get pissed. So that was what the plan was. All good plans come to nothing, because no sooner have we first started interviewing people, and we managed to interview 5 or 6, I think it was, of the witnesses. We realised that their experiences were very real and couldn't be explained by a tabloid journalist in a crappy monkey costume. So we started to take the subject seriously. Now, fast forward to the Saturday morning. I did a deal with the BBC because, as always, I'm still always skint now, but I was even more skint in those days. And the BBC wanted me to appear live on the Good Morning Show on Radio 4, for which they paid me 50 quid, plus expenses. Well, they say that every man has his price. Well, like every man, I have my price, and it's nowhere near as high as you can imagine. And back then, I would have done most things for 50 quid. And so we were staying at this house in a place called Sea, which was owned, like I said, by my mate Dave Curtis and his wife. And the BBC sent this rather luxurious, somewhere between a taxi and a limo, to come and collect me. And they collected me at some ungodly hour because I had to be up just before dawn, because this was only the second or third week of January. So its dawn was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And we got there to there was a lay-by on the road opposite the forest. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the forest was locked and closed at night to stop doggers and whatever else is from. Yes, Daniel. Do I hear giggling?
No, not from me. Probably from Viv.
Oh yeah, well she's got a dirty mind, hasn't she?
I wasn't giggling. I was watching your YouTube. I'll just put the
My song. Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, right, okay.
No, this. I was just putting that in the chat if anyone wants to go.
Oh, that's sweet of you. What a nice girl you are.
Oh, there you go.
Oh no, I've got my uses.
Now, shut up. That was what they call a dirty snigger, Daniel.
That was Eric.
That was Eric.
That was Eric.
No, it wasn't. It was you.
I'll tell you what, I'm good at ventriloquism, but I'm not that good. I can't throw my voice across the states.
Well, why did you look both smug?
I always look smug. This is why I continue to get beaten up. I'll have a smug face.
Dan, it's your turn this week, not mine.
I don't mind.
You make it sound like the only time I ever do is come up on this show and be rude to everybody.
We love it. We love it. We wouldn't have it any other way.
No, that's what we love. Hi, Nicola.
Now, completely lost. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we got there. And there was this very flustered-looking little Welshman who was driving one of those teensy-weensy little cars that were so popular in the early part of this century, the Renault Clios or whatever they were. One of the little things that all looked exactly the same. And he was driving one of these that was in even worse state than my car is, and had a remarkable Heath Robinson arrangement of satellite dishes and radio antennae and all sorts of stuff gaffer taped to the roof of this car. And I am still, I was trying not to laugh because you don't laugh at the BBC. They are our state television and radio channel, and I have made a few quid out of them over the years, so I do try to treat them with respect, except at the time when me and, what's his name, me and Brian Blessed once got incredibly shit-faced in the BBC bar and drank me dry. And then started singing Irish rebel songs at Esther Ransom and being incredibly rude to everybody, which I was quite proud of, but that's another story. And Brian Blessed's really quite short. He's nowhere near as big as he looks. But he talks like this. He talks like this, Jonathan. You know what? You know what's wrong with these bastards at the BBC? They're all just a bunch of fucking bastards. He would swear at the top of his voice, insulting the BBC and going, "Oi, bastard, bring us some more beer." And I was peeing myself laughing and singing Boys of the Old Brigade at the same time. And we both got behaved incredibly, incredibly badly. And I was never invited back on Esther Ransom's show ever again. But
It
again,
sounds like the sort of thing that Dan would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I generally get drunk insensibly and just don't even know what I'm doing. Well, I have no recollection of what happens.
that's one of the reasons I quit drinking, because I don't have an off switch with anything I do, and drinking was one of those things. And once I passed a certain stage, I was completely out of control and could behave like a complete prick. On the other hand, I could be the life and soul of the party and be hail fellow well met. Or on the other hand, I could wake up in somebody's bed that I had no recollection ever of having met, let alone slept with. So it's probably a good reason that I don't drink anymore. And I'm too old to behave disgracefully.
It's too expensive now.
Yeah, it's not fun anyway anymore.
No, it's not. It's not. No.
No. Whereas once upon a time, it was fun to get drunk or stoned and behave like an idiot. It's not fun anymore. So, and once it stops being fun, there's no point in doing it.
I agree.
But anyway, I totally digressed then, and it was all your fault, Dan.
Of course it is. Viv made me do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Vivian, how could you do that to poor Daniel?
Dan deserves everything he gets.
Yeah.
On
I'm not
Jamie.
going to argue with that.
No, I don't think I could find anybody to argue with that either.
Well, Jamie's not here to pick on. Mind you, we should pick on Eric because Eric
I
deserves
can
a
pick
turn.
on Jamie from afar. I don't need him here.
We've got both Louis and Gwyn coming sometime. Has Louis arrived yet?
Louis?
Haven't seen him in the chat or her in the chat or
No.
Gwyn. Haven't seen Gwyn in the chat.
No,
Glenn's in the chat.
Who
Is she?
Glenn. Nico.
Is Nico? Oh, Nico's in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Nico.
Yeah, but he's not as cute as Gwyn.
No, that's true. Even I think that Gwen's cute. I know.
Oh, she's a sweetie pie, that
She
girl.
is.
I'll tell you who is bloody cute. Gwyn's little boy.
Oh, yes.
He's like a big
Both of them.
chocolate. You could squeeze him. He's very sweet.
I love the way that he took her for a run.
I tell you what, he's solid, that little fella.
Oh, you know what? I think he looks like the doorman on an insalubrious nightclub. You know, you're not fucking coming in here with that tie.
Oh, I just broke it.
What you broke?
Yeah.
What is that? What is it?
It's a blade for a
What was
fan.
it?
Oh no.
Oh, you silly girl.
How'd
Well,
you
I've
manage
got another
that?
one. Well, I broke the fan.
Well, you haven't got so many. You haven't got so many fans who can go around and break them.
Well, I've got this one.
I'm always nice to my fans.
Nico
That's a
says,
picture.
I'm beautiful. My mum told me.
I'm sure she did, Nika.
Yeah.
I'm very sure she did. Anyway,
And William says, I'm sexy, but no one told me.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Word.
Sorry.
Oh, Sarah.
Well done, Sarah. Again, I've completely lost the thread of what I was talking
So
about.
you didn't get invited back onto Esther
Oh
Ranson's
yeah,
show?
no, that's just about the.
I guess that's life.
We now go to the car park. We now go to the lay-by on the side of the little road opposite the locked gate of
With the
this
BBC
forest.
man.
Yeah, and it's just before dawn. Now, I don't know what they call it across the pond, but in Britain and
I think they call it just before dawn as well.
They call it dogging.
fuck off, Dan. Now I know why you're called dog.
You lot are funny. Come on. Right, so just before the dawn at the lock gate, yeah.
Yeah. In Britain, and I know in Australia, I don't know anywhere else in the world, the big chorus of birdsong, which happens round about dawn, is called, the dawn chorus. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's one of the things I'm going to miss living in the country, because when I move back to Exeter, I like being woken up by birdsong rather than car alarms. And I like being woken up. I like at night going to sleep with the owls. Whereas,
you're Romy.
First thing that morning, have you ever been anywhere near a rookery?
Yes.
At dawn?
Yes.
Well, I can't imagine.
Loud.
I don't know if they call it dawn chorus or what, but it's like, oh, look who just joined us.
Oh, the Cornish team.
Sweet.
Hi, Romy.
Very sweet.
Anyway, where were we?
Dawn chorus.
Dawn chorus.
Rookery.
Most god-awful noise you've ever heard. And I was thinking, well, I hope to Christ this doesn't carry on like this, because the BBC guy, even with his big collection of satellite dishes and parabolic mics and things, there's no fucking way is he actually going to be able to interview me over the top of that bracket. Then, just after dawn, and this is still one of... I've had a life of really quite weird things happen in my life. And this is one of the weirdest. It suddenly stopped, and it was dead silence.
What, just cut dead?
Completely. And years ago, when I was 19, I think, I was in Toronto, and I went to the Toronto Natural History Museum, where they had this room you could go into that had all the sound. It had all the things that cut out sound, so you went into something that was completely silent. And it is really fucking weird. It is very, very unsettling.
That normally means predator, doesn't it?
It was completely and utterly silent. And then, I'm sure everybody over the age of 40 will know what I'm talking about. The rest of you under the age of 40, stop listening to fucking Taylor Swift and go on to Spotify and listen to Pink Floyd, because at the beginning of Dark Side of the Moon, it opens with heavily amplified heartbeats.
I promise when I hit 40, I will change.
It goes, fuck off, Dan. Now stop interrupting. Also set my dog on you.
It'll cone me to death.
Yes. It starts off going boom, 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 boom. And I'm sure many of you will know this. And that's exactly what I heard. Now, I don't know to this day, although I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but we can't discount the fact then that this might have been something to do with the BBC guy with all his electronic equipment. But the fact I heard it again later that day, when the BBC guy was nowhere around, tends to discount. So for, I don't know, half a minute, boom, 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 boom. And I saw a documentary some years ago, like 7, 8 years ago, which had the first time I've heard of woodknock. It's the first time I've ever heard one on a DVD. And it sounded like an amplified version of one of the woodblocks that somebody then added a tape reel to. And then all of a sudden, no sooner had it started, it completely stopped, and the crows started walking again, but they'd stopped their dawn chorus and went off flying away to do whatever crows do. And I did the interview with the BBC guy. He had a thermos of coffee, which he was kind enough to give me a cup of. I had a cigarette, which was very, very good. They didn't want to smoke in the limo. And at that time, I still smoked quite heavily. And we said our goodbyes. He disappointed me by not giving me 50 quid, saying I'd have to invoice the BBC for it. So my fans were getting drunk that evening, were completely scuppered. And the guy in the limo took me back to CMC, where I met the rest of the team who were just getting out of bed. We all had breakfast and drove back up to the forest. The guy driving the limo said to me, and I can't do this, why? That was fucking weird, wasn't it? And that was, I don't know what that was, what was that was, mildly well affecting. But he, basically, he agreed it was the weirdest thing he did.
Did he record it?
No, this was just a guy in the limo driving me home.
Driver.
Oh.
I didn't even mention it to the BBC guy. I was too busy trying to get 50 quid off him. Then we drove back up to the forest. Now, there were four CSS gods, and there was me, Graham, Richard, and a guy called John Fuller, who is half Ethiopian and half English. And that's quite an amusing story. I haven't seen him in years. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Daniel.
You are a horrible child, Daniel.
Good to see you.
He's disappeared now. We can carry on talking about him in a minute. Might sing him a song. Half Ethiopian, half English guy. His mother had been an art student in the early 60s and who had a torrid affair with a young Ethiopian naval officer who was, I didn't even know that Ethiopia had a navy.
No.
But he was the Imperial Ethiopian Navy attaché to the Court of St. James. And as all senior diplomats in Ethiopia were at that time, he was a cousin or something of Emperor Haile Selassie himself.
Mm.
Now, who knows anything about Rastafari?
Don't they believe in Jah? Is it Jah?
Jah is God, yes.
Jah.
And they
Who's a
believe,
Rastafarian? Sorry.
and they believe that the last emperor of Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie, was a living god, and so were his family. And so for 4 fucking years, I had a living god make me my coffee in the morning. But anyway, that was just another digression. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a lot tonight. I am a silly old man and my memory is.
Sometimes.
Does anyone? Birds? Yes, they are. And anyway, we met up with, as well as us four, there was a team of people from the local paranormal group, which was run by a mate of mine, and he'd volunteered them all as foot soldiers. And throughout the day, we had visits from various eyewitnesses. And what we did, it's something I will quite happily admit I stole from Crime Watch, which, for those of you not in Britain, is a BBC TV show where police make appeals to witnesses for serious crimes. And ever since I started doing this in about 1998, I think, and ever since we've called it doing a crime watch reconstruction. It's exactly the same as they do it on the television show. We get the witness to walk us through where they were when they saw whatever they saw, and we film them doing it. We have people interviewing them with them and making them measurements that need to be done. So basically, we're collecting as much data on the sighting as we possibly can. And we did these crime watch reconstructions about 4 times. And we measured as much of the area as we could. We photographed and measured the areas where people had seen things. And something bit weird began to happen. We had 4 cars. I was driving. Back in those days, I still had my old Daimler XJ6, which was still reasonably good nick at that time. And all the electronic equipment we had, which included 2 laptops, 4 sets of walkie-talkies, various mobile phones, a portable electric kettle, and all sorts of other stuff, all failed. All the batteries failed. And we ended up, because my Jag was the biggest battery, we ended up having my Jag parked over at the other side of the car park at one point, recharging the various batteries so we could do stuff. I didn't know what had caused it. I'm sure loads of you, I'm sure all 3 of you here, and I strongly suspect most of the people in the audience would have heard of the idea that there are electronic anomalies and EMF anomalies in areas where there are ghosts, where there are UFOs, where there are monsters, whatever. And these areas were christened window areas by the late John Keel. Mm-hmm. John Keel believed it was the monsters, the ghosts, and the UFOs that caused these fluctuations. But I wanted to check it. So, sadly, at the time, I didn't have an EMF meter. There's one very good reason for that. I didn't even know what one was. I'd never heard of one. And I didn't start using an EMF meter until a year and a bit later when... No, it wasn't. It was later that year. It was later that year when we first started working up at Camp Gate, and I wanted to do an EMF scan of the German war cemetery. I'm doing fine, thank you, Sarah. Kind of as well. Thank you, my dear. So we did have compasses. And so I sent my merry men around the area. And a lot of it is swamp. And it was crisscrossed by these sort of wooden walkways. Because it's a adventure park. It's a place where you have Boy Scouts going to learn how to camp and do woodcraft and stuff. So that I sent people all around these this crisscrossy network of little wooden pathways. Well, I sat back and had a cigarette and looked out the window with a gormless look on my face. And guess what? The whole area was crisscrossed with areas, smaller areas, that were only a few meters this way and that way, where there were insane magnetic fluctuations. And I found out later that there were veins of a magnetic iron ore called magnetite that crisscrossed the area. But I didn't find that out for another half week. But I'm going to digress again. That's why I'm asking everybody, and please, anybody who's listening and watching either tonight or on replays of this, when you're out ghost hunting or UFO hunting or Bigfoot hunting or whatever you do, please, when you do EMF sweeps and compass sweeps of the area, and if you find that there are magnetic or EMF anomalies, that's geomagnetic anomalies or electromagnetic frequency anomalies, please get the map location. You can get a free app for your phone which will actually put down grid which will record grid references. I've got one for my phone, but I'm too stupid to understand how to use it. But I want to do as a matter of course now, I want to get everybody we can find within the paranormal community and the weirdest shit end of cryptozoology community to start doing these magnetic sweeps as a matter of course, because I strongly believe, and I'll tell you later on why I believe this and what mechanism I believe's in play here. I strongly believe that dear old John Keel got it completely backsy for, as they say in Devonshire, got it completely the wrong way round, and that it's not the monsters and the ghosts and the UFOs and everything that are causing these magnetic anomalies. It's the other way round. And it is the magnetic anomalies which are there all the time, which somehow interact with some witnesses, some but not all witnesses, to cause these apparitions. But I'll come back to that later on. But I just wanted to ask everybody, please, to take this on board and start doing this as part of your investigations. And even if you find that you don't have any EMF or magnetic anomalies, please write and tell me so we can put, or Gwyn, who is my darling assistant and who is an absolutely wonderful woman who puts up with me. She will keep record. She's keeping records of all this stuff as it comes in. Now, in the evening, something weird happened. We'd had a long, tiring day. Some people found what they believe were tree structures. I am very unsure about tree structures. I think that most of what people call Bigfoot-related tree structures are nothing of the sort. I think they're just natural things that happen with wind and rain. I do have another project I want to do to try and either prove or disprove that, but we'll get to that again later. People had found tree structures, which were duly photographed and noted, but we hadn't seen any mysterious animals. We did find, 2 days later, when we came back after it had been snowing, we found some very large footprints and some hair caught in a barbed wire fence. Sadly, because again, as I've always said, and I said at Daniel's conference the other day, I may be a weird old hippie with a bad sense of humour and a history of substance abuse, but I am a scientist. And a lot of my mates are scientists, and at the time my friend Dr. Darren Naish was something to do with the paleontology department at Southampton University. Now please forgive me, Darren, if you're watching this. I can never remember if it's Southampton University or Portsmouth University. One of my daughters went to either Southampton or Portsmouth University, and I know you were at the other one, but I can't remember which of you did which. But he had access for free to an electron microscope, and he took electron microscope photographs of these hairs and did a really, really thorough examination of them. They turned out to be from a feral cat, but it again, that doesn't matter. Like I said at Daniel's conference, when you're using the scientific method, experiments don't fail. The only way you can make an experiment fail is if you drop the test tube and then tread on it. If you do something fucking stupid and banjacks the whole thing, then it fails. But when you have a result that is not the result you were hoping for, or even not the result you were expecting, that is a piece of supportive evidence or otherwise towards the next stage of the scientific method. So I wasn't at all worried that we didn't have pictures of Bigfoot hair. I never thought we would in the first place. But it was getting on for sundown. And as you know, sundown comes up in the winter, comes on quite early in the evening. And it was, I don't know, 4:30, 4:45, something like that. And it was getting quite dark. And I was in the middle of a really severe crisis. I only had 3 cigarettes left and I wanted to go down the pub. So I was trying to persuade everybody to hurry up, finish doing their jobs, and so we could get on and go down the pub and then hopefully get a Chinese takeaway before I went home. When, guess what happened? There were 3 of us sitting on the bonnet of my car, looking out vaguely into the woods while I puffed gingerly on my second to last cigarette. And there were 2 other people standing next to me. And then suddenly the crows started squawking again.
Ooh.
And then you won't be that surprised to hear it went dead quiet again. And the only sound you could hear was various members of the team saying, "What the fuck's happening there?" And then, boom, 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 came through the trees again. Then it lasted for about 30 minutes. And at the time, I probably shouldn't have done it, especially as with the batteries running out. I had my car headlights on. And the forest in front of me was illuminated by my headlights. As anyone who's ever owned a Jaguar XJ6 will know, they have pretty fuck-off good headlights. Suddenly, something vaguely man-shaped, but very tall. Now, has any of you ever played the old, totally out of date now, video game Doom? Okay, well, in the second of the Doom games, there is one of the enemies are these weird, spindly-looking robots that run around very jerkily and very fast. And it looked remarkably similar to that.
Huh.
Then it was totally black. The area was illuminated by my headlights, but it wasn't like it was something black in colour. It was like it was a spindly man-shaped slice of nothingness. It was like something had been cut out. It was like we were in a play and watching something that had been cut out of the scenery, out of the backdrop. And it ran from right to left over about half a second, maybe a second. And then a few seconds later, it ran back. I'd never seen it before, and I've never seen it since. Of the five of us, 3 saw it and 2 didn't. And we were all looking in the same direction. And the 2 people who didn't see it thought that the rest of us were playing some sort of stupid practical joke on them. Now, I am terrible at estimating distances. Also, this was a swamp. And I'm fairly foolhardy, and I've done all sorts of stupid things in my life. But going and wandering through a swamp
Oh, his audio went out.
That's interesting, isn't it, Dan?
Yes,
Yeah.
very. Yeah, very.
Hence another reason why I want to explore all of England when I get there.
Thing is, when he described that whatever it was that he saw, do you know what jumped to my mind straight away?
Slender Man.
Sort of like Slender Man, Shadow Man, like something quite similar. That we've heard stories about that for a long
Well, you've
time.
seen some of
Dan,
those
haven't we?
shadows yourself. They're like that. They're like a
Yeah.
black hole into they're like a cutout of a man's universe. Black.
Yeah.
Completely black.
it's a piece of nothingness. If
Yeah.
that's not. By the way, did you hear Daniel wants to join us?
Oh, that'd be
Now,
cool.
Yeah, he wants to come join in.
what do you reckon, Dan? Should we let him in?
Yeah, no.
No, he's a horrible.
We'll let him
man.
in.
Let him in, but Jonathan's got to go.
Oh, yeah,
No, hang on.
Let him in. Yeah, I'm only joking.
oh, fuck off, Dan. Stop.
Oh dear. All right, hang on. Leave it with me.
Anyway,
Yes,
it
go on,
gets
Jonathan.
weird. It does get weirder.
Gets weirder. Holy cow.
Does get weirder. Does everybody know what endorphins are?
Yes.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know in the audience, they are the pleasure chemicals, which, amongst other things, are released during sex. There are 2 substances in the world which make your body think. They don't mimic the production of endorphins, as some people say. But they make your body, they fool your body into thinking it's full of endorphins.
She's called it.
Dan, would you like to guess what they are? You probably know.
What that stimulate you, the endorphins, or that make you
That make you think that.
food for me. Exercise does it.
No, there's 2 substances.
Oh, substances. No, go on. You tell me.
Chocolate,
Right.
Coffee.
opium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Opium.
Yep.
Now,
Really?
as anybody who knows me will know, I am a fat bastard and I've eaten a lot of chocolate in my life. I am also not, I don't care, I'm not ashamed of it. I have abused various drugs in my life. I don't do it anymore. I'm too old and too old and too battered. But I do know what heroin and opium and pethidine and quite a lot of other things, I do know what they do to your body from personal experience. Within 20 minutes of the sighting, because I just wanted to get my shit together, I went out into the dark just to try and process what I'd seen. And I came back as high as a fucking kite. Wow. No, honestly, it was like I've never injected drugs. I don't know what it's like, but I have smoked them, and it was like I had smoked several grams of very, very high quality heroin.
Wow.
And wait for it, smack usually stays in your body for a few hours. This stayed in my body for nearly 48 hours.
Wow.
I was completely and utterly off my feet.
Wow.
Luckily, Richard wasn't, and he made notes of what was happening, because this was totally because this is something I've never known reported anywhere else. And I wonder. Hi, Daniel.
Hello.
Hey guys,
Hello.
I've come on to say how much. I don't know if John meant to, but he posts a StreamYard link everywhere on his page, so anyone could join.
Oh, did I? Is that bad? Is that bad?
Well,
Mate,
Not bad, is it? Fucking
I
hell.
found that funny, and they can't. They can't get into the show without Viv. I found that hilarious, John, and also, good job on that video earlier. You've made everyone happy.
And there's over 1,000 people who've seen that.
Sick
And
of,
I know I'm
sick of working with amateurs.
a lot more is going to happen, because at the end of my little chat tonight, I'm going to tell the story of the video, and we're going to fucking play it.
How are you guys? I didn't ask
Very
you,
good,
John.
thank you.
How
Yeah,
are
how
you?
are you?
That's my bloody story. I just got to the
How are you, Viv?
I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm doing all right.
Good. Right.
Okay, that's it. I'm not going to have anything to do with him anymore. He is a horrible child, isn't he?
Okay.
Anyway, anybody else?
Endorphins, Jonathan. Endorphins.
Has anybody
Endorphins.
ever
Focus,
heard?
Jonathan. Focus.
Fuck off.
Nice one, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Sorry,
Pick
Jonathan.
on
go
John
on.
tonight.
No, it's pick on Dan tonight.
You've got two Dans now, so you can pick on both of them.
Oh yeah, well they're both little shits. Anyway, has anybody else ever heard of somebody witnessing something strange and getting flooded with endorphins?
I don't think I have.
No.
And I'm not talking about when you're
No.
dog man.
No, not like that. No.
No, not like that. No.
Okay, I'm now going to throw that over to the audience. Is there anybody out there who has heard of this happening? Because honestly, when it's happened to you, it's the weirdest thing.
Never heard of it.
And
I've had sort of butterflies and nervousness, and you can feel your heart beating in your chest and in your mouth and breathlessness, but never.
I normally get that where I can't catch my breath, and it's like just when something happens, which is not that often for me, but when it has, I know that if it's not paranormal, the easiest way to put it, then I know that I won't get that feeling, even no matter how odd or unusual it is. But if it's erring on the side of paranormal, 2 instances I can call right off the top of my head, then I can't catch my breath, and the back of my head just it just goes all goose pimply. It's not very nice. But no, not like you. Not like
No, that's
not endorphins.
Yeah, it's
Never.
different than usually an adrenaline rush with me. So
Do you think it could be to do with the electromagnetic field?
Sorry?
Do you think it could be to do with the electromagnetic field in the area?
I will return to this subject afterwards, if I may, only because I even wondered if this is what it is like to have a religious experience. You know, when people claim to have seen visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary or
that's a good point.
Or whatever, because they talk about there's this thing in the Roman Catholic Church that it's called religious ecstasy. Well, if endorphins are the chemical released in sexual ecstasy, then maybe they are the chemical released in religious ecstasy as well. I don't know. If anybody is listening to this and gets offended by that, I want to assure you that I'm not trying to be offensive at any means. I am a Christian, and but I'm not a creationist. But I am a Christian, and I'm a very devout Christian. And I want to know the answers to these things, so I'm not sneering, I'm not laughing, but I wonder if it's called religious ecstasy because it's akin to sexual ecstasy. I don't know. I know, the weirdest fucking thing I have ever felt in my life.
Is it the same? I've heard when they do voodoo, the stuff in voodoo when they do this mad dancing and then they reach this high point and then somebody gets taken over by a spirit, and they say that they reach this ecstasy point. Do you think it's the same sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know about that, but the religious thing, that sounds exactly like the religious experience, doesn't it, that people have when they're filled with ecstasy and joy, and it's just they're filled up to over brimming with it.
Well,
it could be the same, Viv.
The only time I was ever filled with ecstasy was at a Happy Mondays concert.
Now you're talking.
Anyway, that's Daniel. He's too young to know what I'm talking about.
Can I just say, evening Harlem, and I have, you may have noticed, Viv, that I streamed it to my YouTube and Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So
thank you.
You've reached. That's fine.
Hello, Harlem, my dear boy. How are you?
Hi, Harlem.
Daniel.
So,
did you leave the door open for all sundry to come in?
Well,
okay, me and you need a chat. Me and you need a chat in a minute, because this is not going to end well.
No, I'd be quite happy if various people of all and sundry came in.
Yeah, it's good. Prospecting USA Hunter America's Treasures. Hi there. I don't know who that is.
Anyway, where was it? Anyway, I woke up the next day expecting to feel normal, and I was completely off my tits. And despite various people, you're not the only person who gets slandered, Daniel. I've been accused of being drunk in the field and being on drugs in the field. I never have. I have got drunk and I've taken drugs and I'm back in the hotel or back at home again. But I never do it if I'm in the field, if I'm camping, or if I'm doing anything else. I'm always professional. And anyway, I have no idea where I would buy heroin at a boating lake just north of Newcastle. Even if I wanted it, I wouldn't have known where to get it. Now, I woke up the next morning, I was still completely off my tits, and I committed, later that afternoon, I committed one of the most notorious things that is still held against me, even now, 21 years later. Because we went to my mate Dave's, the guy who owned the house, we went to his house for Sunday lunch. And then,
That's interesting.
that's interesting.
That's weird.
In fact, Charles, at some point, do you want to tell us all about it?
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Where was it? Anyway, we went to Dave Curtis's house, and his wife made us a lovely lunch, and it was lovely. And then Dave Curtis and I and the rest of the third contingent got stinking drunk. Now, there is a thing my father always said: when you're drinking, boy, never mix grape and grain. Never mix grape.
Where's Daniel?
Where's Daniel gone?
I don't know. I don't know.
I was just about to make a bad Daniel joke, but I don't know where he is. Is he still in the audience?
No, I
Oh.
don't.
He's got an emergency call, so he's had to come off.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
There's a lot going on for the poor boy at the moment. Where am I? Yeah. Never mix grape and grain. Will never mix a pseudo-religious experience when you're off your tits with about 3/4 of a bottle of gin and several bottles of wine and some beer. Because I thought it was a very good idea at the time to dictate an account
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Charles. I'd like to hear that.
It'd be interesting.
I asked Dave's wife, who is an absolute darling, an absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful girl. And I asked Joanne to let me dictate her an account of what I saw. Then I got into my head it'd be a good idea to phone up various cryptid researchers I knew to tell them about it, which somebody should have stopped me because I was completely and utterly shit-faced, and I really shouldn't have phoned Lauren Coleman at whatever time of night it was. I think it was probably only about tea time, his time, but I shouldn't have phoned him all the way across in Maine. Hey, Lauren, man, you're not going to fucking believe what I saw, man. I seen a fucking Bigfoot, man. Since then, he has complained that I phoned him up while thinking drunk. No, I did phone him up while thinking drunk. Fucking get it. But it was not my finest hour. The next morning, which was the Monday, I woke up with a Christ of a hangover, absolute stinking hangover. But I was mostly got rid of I was still feeling slightly odd and slightly high, but it was nothing like it had been. And that was when we went back to the woods. We saw the last couple of eyewitnesses. We interviewed them, filmed the interviews, did all the stuff we had to do. And as I said, I'm no good at guessing distances. Absolutely no good whatsoever. And so, when we saw the thing running, I made a note of which tree it was running, from which tree to which tree it was running. And so, gingerly, the lightest of us, I think it was Graham, went out there wearing Wellington boots. But they're still called Wellington boots. Probably a hate crime to call them Wellington boots these days. Probably Johnny Foreigner objects. But Graham we measured the distance. He had to leave because it's on a podcast. I'm talking about drugs and alcohol. I'm sorry, Daniel. The funny thing is, he left just as I was finishing talking about drugs and alcohol. Where am I? We measured the distance. It was just under 20 feet. And the ground in between these two trees was totally mud. I suppose it is possible that you could have got some very athletic, tall ballet dancer who was black and naked and probably wearing body paint to be able to pirouette between the tussocks of reeds and grass, so it didn't fall in the quicksand and get drowned, and do it back again. But one, who would have paid for it? Two, where the hell would they have got this mythical ballet?
That's a lot of factors to put together, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so unlikely to have been any sort of a fake. By Occam's razor, it wasn't a fake. But I did my best, as it is always the job, is to try to see if you've got a rational answer.
Yeah.
It's only if you can't find a rational answer. And I hate quoting the Sherlock Holmes thing, but once you've eliminated everything that's possible, what you've got left, however impossible must be, however unlikely, has got to be the truth. Well, I've always said, well, what's so weird, what's so bad about impossible? Because we don't know all the laws of science. We don't know all the laws of physics, and we don't know how or why things work, especially this. And I'm living proof that this stuff does physically.
I think it was Einstein, wasn't it, who said, irrespective of how, or no matter how preposterous or ridiculous or out there your ideas are, the chances are it's real.
Yeah. And James Dean said, okay, these days it would have a different connotation, but no matter how queer you think the universe is, it's more queer than impossible.
We've got no idea, have we?
We've got absolutely
no idea whatsoever.
And so, what caused this? I became the unwitting victim of my own experiment, in that I managed to, because of this, my body biochemistry was affected for several days.
Yeah.
And I've always admired people like Aldous Huxley and Christopher Mayhew, who took psychedelic drugs under laboratory conditions to see what happened. And unwittingly, I think I did the same thing. Now, we got back home.
I'll be back in a sec.
2 or 3 days later, and Richard and I were wondering what the bloody hell had happened. Now, when Richard was in Thailand in 2000, Christ, that's nearly a quarter of a century ago.
I know, frightening.
But it was only 3 years before when this had happened. He'd noticed that in Thailand, you have exactly the same types of inverted comma monster as you have in Britain. You have a big golden mystery cat, same as you have the Beast of Exmoor. You have sightings of something called a Garuda, which is both a Hindu god and a mystery animal, which is very similar to the Cornish owl man. You have big pretty-like creatures. You have little hairy creatures. And in Britain, you have pixies, and you have sightings of the thing like I saw at Bowland Lake.
Mm.
You have mystery dogs. In
Mm.
Britain, you have the Celtic black dog.
Yeah.
And you have dragons in Britain, and you have something called the Naga, which is what we're doing in Turkey. I'm looking at the Naga. And he called this a global template for monsters. And everywhere we've been in the world, we've found the same thing. You have the same global template, more or less, usually more. Occasionally less, but usually more. And this got us thinking to a time, 4 million years ago, when the human race was a few thousand little hairy geezers on the plains of East Africa. What would have been the things that they were most scared of?
Predators?
It would be, but yeah, but what predators?
I don't
You
know.
would have had the things that are still the global template of monsters. You'd have the mystery cats, such as lions, leopards, scimitar cats, and all the other now extinct cats that lived in what now East Africa. You'd have the mystery dogs, the Cape hunting dog, and I believe there are a couple of closely related species that are now extinct. The Cape hunting dog still found in Africa today. These would be things that would be terrified of. They'd be terrified of their version of dragons. The crocodiles, which were much bigger back in the days that you didn't have people with rifles hunting them, and the big snakes, not just the big snakes like the pythons that are still there today, but other extinct ground snakes. I don't know if Titanoboa was ever found in prehistoric Africa, but there were giant snakes back then.
So, do you think the origins of all of those fears come from that original template, and what's happened as we've spread out across the planet?
If you think of it,
It can't be any other way, can it?
Well, yeah, I think that they're deep inside the psyche of every man, woman, and child on this planet. It's what Carl Sagan called fossil memories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for it. This will blow you away. East Africa at that time was far more geologically unstable than it is tonight. So they would have been terrified of the mountains that had fire coming out of them at night and spurted out fireballs. The glowing.
This is the origin of survival.
It's the origin of UFOs. It's the origin of monsters.
But do you think it's our inherent survival that we have
It's
within
our
us?
fight and flight.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, every computer on this planet, what happens when the most complex computer that has ever existed is the human brain. Now, what happens with any computer if there's a big electromagnetic pulse?
Get a surge.
Yep. And it crashes.
Right, yeah.
And even the most complicated and the most sophisticated computer still, for a few seconds, goes back to the most simple, basic programming language for a few seconds until it reboots with Windows or iOS or whatever it's got. And I think it's the same with the human brain. Under certain circumstances, when there is a magnetic or an EMF or some other stimulus that we haven't isolated yet. And this next thing, as soon as I finally moved house, I'm going to buy a Geiger counter because I want to do the same thing for background radiation. I think certain people, they're the people who like Viv are psychic, and people who understand that culture better than I do are referred to as the sensitives. They are the people, my background, I'm actually a qualified nurse in what used to be known as the mentally handicapped. And I know a lot about epilepsy. And I think that people with epilepsy are sensitive to this sort of shit. And I think what happens under certain circumstances, some people have their brains rebooted by these surges of electromagnetism or geomagnetism or radiation or sunspots or whatever. I have no idea what else could cause it. But I think that we revisit one of our ancient primal fears that's fossil evidence right in the back of their head. And even someone as beautiful and sophisticated as Vivian becomes a little hairy naked geezer running around on the plains of East Africa.
Do you think, though, that the electromagnetic field and background radiation, do you think that they cause us to envisage these things and see these things, or do you think that they open up our minds to a different dimension so we can our brains expand and we can see more of what's out there?
Bloody good question. I have no idea.
No.
I think somehow these things are connected. That's why I want, because I don't think that the study of ghosts, the study of the weird shit end of monster hunting, and the study of UFOs are as far distant as some people think.
No, I don't.
I've got a thing to say. When Dan and I have gone out independently of each other, Dan's always said to me, "Oh, I don't get much. I'm about as psychic as a brick. I don't get much."
I'm terrible.
Then when we're together, Dan and I have had some of the best and the most terrifying experiences, and Dan's witnessed them and experienced them.
Yeah.
But then he says, "I saw that. Did you see that?" And we're comparing what we've seen. He's seen exactly the same as me.
The same thing, independently.
Well, as you two are a proven team, do either of you have one of those annoying bloody smartwatches, which will...
No.
Well, you want...
I've got a not a smartwatch, but I've got one of those ones that does the heart rate and count your steps and all that. I've got one of those.
Because that's what you want to do. You want to be both wearing something like that. So if you do have the time when you're both scared or both excited, that we can see the effect it has on your body.
Yeah, that's what
that's what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Yeah.
I have a smartwatch that does that. It takes your pulse, your heart rate, everything.
And also, I would seriously suggest if you can buy them on eBay, get to put in your kit. Are either of you diabetic? Brilliant. Can we test your blood sugar before and after these?
Yeah, and Dan's. Could test Dan's as well.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, you
You're
done me before. Hey, Dan, hold that.
They're expensive, and I said this to many investigators before, especially when talking to them, is you can get a portable EKG meter, EKG meter, to hook up to a person to test their heart rate, blood pressure, or whatever. I know they're expensive, but I'm going to be bringing one or at least buying one when I get over there. So
I think that's a really good thing, because this is the bedrock of everything that my whole worldview is around, whether we're talking about normal animals or abnormal. I hate the word paranormal.
Yeah.
But this stuff is
Yeah.
whatever these things are, they can influence the world around them.
Yes.
That's why we've at the moment got some trail cameras out filming the wood where earlier in the year somebody found giant footprints that the press claimed were Bigfoots. I don't think they're anything of the sort. But we've got trail cameras up in these woods to try and, after all, will you stop clapping? Thanks, Graham. Have you got the medicine, mate? Oh, so it is. Thank you, my dear. Not because I think we're going to get pictures of Bigfoot, of course we're not. But at the moment, I've got an investigation going on in London, Ontario, in Canada. And there is this big field, an area of woodland and marsh, where there have been sightings of Bigfoot type things. There have been wood knocks, there have been whoops, and all sorts of things. And since they've been starting, this paddock, which is usually meadow, sorry, not paddock, which is usually full of wildlife, is completely empty. The most obvious answer is that something has frightened them away. And hang on, after all, you want to be on the show, then, do you?
Oh, look at him.
We're in the corner, Shane.
You're a good boy, aren't you?
Oh, look
He's
at him.
gorgeous.
He's
Look
a
at that
cutie, isn't he?
face.
He's gorgeous, isn't he?
Mhm.
Anyway, where was I? The obvious inference to draw is that something has driven the normal wildlife away.
Mhm.
Interestingly, the phenomena are continuing, and the wildlife now, after about 3 weeks, are beginning to come back. But we are notable. What I want to see is, I know perfectly well what animals should be found in a South Devon woodland. There should be roe deer, quite possibly muntjac deer. There will be badgers, foxes, stoats, feral cats, and various smaller things. If there's nothing there at all, that's interesting because the inference is that something has frightened them all away, or if they are behaving in unusual ways, they're more wary than you would think they should be.
Yeah.
It means it's likely to say that there's an apex predator there. Personally, I think they're going to be behaving perfectly normally, and this is supporting evidence that there's nothing there at all. But again, there are no such things as failed experiments.
No.
Whatever the answer is, it helps us build up a picture of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say, I want to apologise to you all for just getting up and leaving you, but I've heard voices inside my house, 2 people having a conversation downstairs. I heard singing. I live in a detached home, and I'm the only one home. All the lights are out, and even the cats have disappeared.
Wow.
So,
You okay?
Dan knows this house. Activities
Yeah.
seems to be ramping up again. So I
Definitely.
had to go.
Yeah.
I had to go and see if there was someone standing outside my property, just having a conversation. There's nobody there. So I heard it in the house, and there's no one in the house apart
You know,
from me.
I find out about your house is that your house is, without a doubt, has got spiritual activity in it. But it's the warmest, friendliest, nicest, comforting house I think I've ever been in. There's nothing at all negative or nasty, or it's just nice. It's really, really comfy.
Catches you unawares, that's all.
Yeah. That's all. You just see something and it's like, bloody hell, it throws you, doesn't it? But that's it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Talking about the about the apex predator showing up and these animals all going quiet and leaving the forest now. It'd be interesting if there was a way that you could find out. I don't suppose there is. But if there's any effect from EMF on their brains.
What we're going to do is at some point in this area in Canada, at some point, Dave, who's doing the investigation, several of his daughters, his wife, and various other family members that are around are all going to go and do an EMF and magnetic sweep of that area as well.
Brilliant.
We just haven't done it yet. Because if I'm correct, and the magnetic fluctuations are pre-existing, then it won't really matter when you do it. It's the effect on the people that matters.
Does anybody know if there's been any studies or if there's been any research done on the electromagnetic fields around ley lines?
No idea.
Yeah.
I think there has no. Has
That would
there?
be interesting.
There's a lot of ley line books and things.
That would be
are out.
interesting, Viv.
Because I'm sure that our other late great friend Norman Farhi, he did give me a load of stuff.
Maybe you and I
used
could
to
do
talk
something
about
with that, Viv.
stuff. Yeah, no,
Maybe
definitely.
you and I could do the ley because we're interested in ley lines, aren't we? So
Yeah.
maybe that'd be something you and I could have a look at.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, so we've been going an hour and nearly 2 hours. Nearly 2 hours.
That was Daniel, but anyway.
Okay, so we've been going 2 hours, John. So,
well, I've told you, I've done the whole story now. I'm sorry to have hogged the.
No, it's been great.
I want to play something, guys, before we go anywhere.
Please do.
Just to cheer people up. If you just give me a minute, I have to
I
find
got a
it.
bladder of an 80-year-old.
What have you done?
Well, I got a bladder of an 80-year-old. That's why I keep going on.
Does he want it back?
Yeah, I don't know. I can ask him.
Oh, hang on, guys. Bear with me.
What you doing?
I am just loading it up so I can play something to you guys. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
I'm just going to share my screen.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I know. I love this.
I've not seen it yet.
Oh, hang on,
But you
what's
better
that?
explain what it is.
I'm just going to play it first.
Thank you, Charles. It's been lovely that you've been there. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, hang on. Hang on. Let me close this window. Hang on. Otherwise, you're going to see.
Yeah, I'm going to say it publicly. I'm going to go pee while you're trying to do that.
You crack on with it. You crack on with
Is
it.
anybody here from the company that owns the Clash's copyright?
No.
Please find.
Oh, the Clash. Well, I say. I take it you've. Okay.
Ready? Can you see this?
No. Yeah. I can. Yeah.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear.
Viv, can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
Viv, can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
No.
Oh, that's no good then. Go on Jonathan's Facebook page and you will see what we were playing.
Can we get
and you'll also see the story behind it.
Yeah.
And please spread it everywhere you can, and also spread the story with the banner that I made yesterday, which is being spread around all over the internet. I want all of it to go viral, not because I'm trying to be self-aggrandizing and making a film of me sitting there singing a song go viral, but because it's very important. And this is in support of Daniel, who, despite the fact I tease the poor boy, I love him very much indeed. He's a remarkable young man, and he is being very badly wronged at the moment.
Yeah.
And so,
agreed.
as an old hippie street fighter and an old mate of my old mate Mick Farron died 13 years ago today, God help us. And he was the guy who taught me about the more revolutionary end of being a punk. And I am channeling him at the moment in order to come to Daniel's defense,
Yeah.
but also to the defense of the whole community.
Yes.
Because there are people in our community who are such complete scum, they
Yep.
need to be removed.
Yep. Well,
I think it's right across the board, Jonathan. I don't think it's just the
Oh, no.
Bigfoot community. I think it's right across the board. I think it's whether it's human nature or what it is, but when you pick on children, I mean, come on. Yesterday, those 3 innocent little girls.
Gorgeous, weren't they?
Yeah, and we've got this woman that's now started on one of our friends, Daniel. We're not going to stand by and let this happen. We're going to stand up to these bullies. And
Do you know what?
God forbid. I mean, those parents that lost these girls. You know, my heart goes out to them, or anyone that's suffering at the hands of bullies and idiots, basically.
I still think that 99% of the people on this planet are decent people. It's just you get an awful lot of wankers.
Yes.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
trouble is, I really pissed off. My brother's a vicar, by the way, and I've really pissed off some of the. Yes, I know nobody believes that either, but I've pissed off various Christian friends of mine by saying, in the same way as 99.9% of Christians are decent, peaceful, good people.
Yeah.
And shouldn't be judged by the behaviour of the Westboro Baptist Church.
No.
You know, the God Hates Fags Brigade. The vast majority of Muslims are decent, peaceful, good people.
People just want quiet lives, don't they? Would bring their children up and have a happy, quiet life and get on with each other, and just tossers won't allow it.
No, exactly.
And so I now declare war on tossers.
Government, mind you, don't get me on the government. I hate any government.
If anybody wants to,
you're an anarchist. You're an
yeah.
well.
Oh, God, yeah. More than anything else. Yes.
What are you guys going on about?
The one true way to rule the world.
Oh, you're just a girl. You wouldn't understand.
Anarchists. I've even got a shirt with a big A on it.
Yeah, but it is great. I love doing comedy sexism. I always used to wind my dear wife, who was this appalling feminist. I used to wind her up by referring to her and her daughters as chicks.
I am an antichrist. I am an anarchist.
Hey!
Do you want to hear it?
Don't know what I want, but I know how to get it.
Hey! Oh, that brings me. I was listening to some Sham 69 the other day. Absolutely legend.
If you want to hear a really good band that I used to listen to when I was younger, it's the Anti-Nowhere League.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah.
I've been Hastings, I've been to Eastbourne too. So what?
My mate used to be the drummer called Lorry Driver, right? When I knew him, he was driving lorries.
That's one.
And he's called Lorry Driver. And he was the drummer. And who remembers the adverts? Looking for Gary Gilmore's eyes. He was a drummer in that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant group. I think they kept White City, I think a few of them came from.
Dan, I think Eric's trying to play it.
That
Eric.
very foxy girl, the bass player, was at the same school.
They broke the law, but Daniel will have won. They wanted money, though they had some. They broke the law, but Daniel will have won. Rubbish that they wrote there had me quite in stitches. It's such a shame that boys become a target for avaricious bitches. They broke the law. Daniel will have won.
Brilliant. I'm going to watch that later.
They broke the war. They broke the law, but Daniel is the one who is going to have won in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, that kid has done more stuff as a 15-year-old, 16, 15-year-old than
15,
any
yeah.
adult has ever done in their life. So
Oh, shit.
Thanks, Eric.
He's done a hell of a lot more than I did at 15.
yeah.
At 15, I was still coming in at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, pissed.
See, I had PhDs.
And I was night clubbing at 13.
Wow.
Mum, I
PhDs
didn't
and
know.
doctorates. Well, I was that age.
You're
15.
doing what?
I had PhDs and a doctorate.
Did
I
you?
used to perform open heart surgery. That was when I was 13, actually. When I was 15, I had so much money I retired.
And if you believe that, I have a London Bridge to sell you. So
Yeah, we don't want that back. You lot can keep it.
Yes,
best wishes.
Archie can hear the people laughing. He wants to come.
Archie!
Archie!
Oh, he's such a sweetheart, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
He's cute.
He's looking for a biscuit.
Yeah, who's cute, me or Archie?
Archie.
Oh, I thought I was the cute one.
No, Archie's cute. He can have a biscuit.
Nico says that you need a live performance at the next Cryptid conference with backing dancers.
That's me and Dan. We're backing dancers.
Yeah, we're backing dancers.
Yeah, we'll hire a band and
Well, the last ever Weird Weekend that I did, and in fact, it's quite possible that I will be restarting the Weird Weekend with Viv and Gwyn and Richard. But the last guest that we had at the last Weird Weekend was Steve Ignorant from Crass.
Really?
Oh,
Does anyone remember Crass?
yes.
Band from the Roxy. Okay.
Yes.
I never want to play there. Anyway, and I had Steve Ignorant giving a lecture about the history of Punch and Judy.
Oh,
wow.
Nico's got to be in the band. He can play acoustic kazoo.
I can play the triangle. Ding.
Yeah. I can just sit in the back like that.
You're all fucking weird. Except Eric. Eric's okay.
no, I'm
No,
weird.
he's not.
dude.
He's
He's
weirder
only
than both
got
of us.
that because
together.
he's only got that
Weirder
'cause
than
there's no
both
full
of them.
moon out.
Wait until I
Is
get
it
over there. You'll see how weird I am.
It's not a full moon, is it?
No, if
No.
it was a full moon, you could see Eric would be, fuck me, grow hair
Well,
and everything.
I go completely nutsoid at full moon.
Have you heard
What
of
else is there to do?
Jonathan? Have you heard of the sightings of the dog man in Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road?
Yes.
That's where Eric lives.
Eric, it's Eric.
He's the actual dog man.
That's him. He's only
He came
20
on the
minutes
other
away.
week. He came on the other week to interview somebody, had a fucking bone in his mouth.
All right. Okay, something so fucking inappropriate then, but I'm not going to. It would be beneath me.
Oh dear.
But I tell you what,
Mosquito.
Linda Godfrey died, I'm afraid, a couple of years ago. The Beast of Bray Road girl, but her best friend, Alison Jordan's a mate of mine, and I can get her on the show if you want her one time.
That would
Can
be good.
We need to get Eric on the land where it happened, or
Yeah.
close to
Well,
it.
it's private land, you really can't go on it, but we can get close to it.
Is it all privately owned now?
Yeah, it's private. Well, it's always been privately owned. You gotta have the permission to be on the land.
We need to send it up to LBL, don't we? The land between the lakes. There's some dogman shit going on up there, apparently.
Yeah, I'll be over there before I do that. So
Some nasty stuff gone up over there. Proper nasty stuff.
Right, guys,
Viv, are you anywhere near, I believe it's in Cambridgeshire, that there is what was once, I mean, it's now, I think it's closed, but it was a US Air Force base. That was both RAF and US Air Force base that had dogman things in it. Do you know the one I mean?
Yes, I do know the one you mean, and it's now they've built houses on it.
yeah,
That'd be is that near you?
Yes.
Can you go and magnetize do the magnetic sweep of that, please?
sorry.
No, Archie, when I said dog man, you're not a dog.
He's a dog.
People wanted
I'm a dog, man.
Dog man.
I'll take Dan with me because Dan's always interested in these sort of things because there had been that sighting.
So want Dogman to be real.
And we've also had some big cat sightings quite recently as well. Not there, but somewhere else. It's a place that Dan has been to. Well, not that place, but we'll find pretty damn well near.
Well,
near
I'll
to
tell
it.
you what I want to do. We're going to be launching the... I've been meaning to do this for years and never got around to it. We're going to be launching the CFZ Woodrose project very soon.
Cool. Excellent.
And when we do that, I want people to go to every bloody place that, even where there's been medieval woodrose stories, and scan.
Thanks, Nico.
Yes, exactly, Nico. Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Nico.
I got marked down on my.
Do you know what? I've got my neighbour just across the road there. He worked at this place for a long time, and when he retired from the US military, he then stayed at that airbase as the caretaker for the whole base. So I can also question him to see if there's any stories or anything that he can tell me, or any reports that he got.
Is that the housing estate? Is it? Is that where it is now?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
We'll have a drive down there.
Definitely.
Because I would not be surprised if you found magnetic stuff there. However, if you could, I know very little about technology and military technology in particular, but have a word with your mate who knew the Air Force base and see if there's anything that they had there that American Air Force people had there that would screw up magnetism.
Well, I do know that, and I know this as a fact, that they had all the women camping out. Where's that place? This Greenpeace people.
Greenham Common.
Not Greenham Common. The one that they thought.
I know what you mean.
Oh God, can't remember.
They thought that the nuclear missiles were being stored there, and they weren't. It was a complete lie, and it was a bluff.
Lakenheath.
Not Lakenheath. It was. Oh God! For years, for about 30 years, you had women camping out there and ban the bomb and all that sort of thing. And wasn't Greenham Common? You know it, don't you, Dan?
Yeah, we were talking about the other day, weren't we?
I have.
But the actual place where the nuclear bombs were being stored was at Alconbury. And what they were doing is every now and again they'll send a truck into the decoy place and put something over the tarpaulin over it to make it look like, and they weren't there stored there at all. So there could be a connection.
Isn't that weird that these cryptids are showing up somewhere where they used to keep these UFOs and stuff? That, do you know what? I wonder, it's going to sound mental now, and it's probably a load of old bollocks, but thinking about it, if you think that, talk about multi dimensions, right? Talk about many different dimensions. So the Earth has a magnetic field, right? Has a natural magnetic field.
Yep.
What if that magnetic field is shared by each and every dimension? The same magnetic field is shared by that one dimension. So as it turns, does it create portals or splits within that magnetic field that then bleed through to another universe?
Yeah.
Or even just makes the veil be thinnest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either way, does it make it more accessible?
Yeah.
Yes. Other dimensions they worked this out. We haven't. Which is why they
and
visit.
Also, does these nuclear warheads and these weapons that are now being produced, are they causing a shift in that magnetic field?
Could very well be.
Existence of them.
Could very well be. I find it intriguing that they can one UFO can shut down a whole base of nuclear weapons.
Deliberately. There's two certain bombs. I forget what the scientist said they were, but if either one of them goes off in a war, it will shear the veil completely.
So what if it's other dimensions that don't want us fighting, because if we do, it'll have a negative effect on them? So what if these UFOs come from different dimensions as opposed to anywhere else? So they're bleeding through different dimensions to try and stop us because they know what we're capable of. It's stupid.
It could be, but
it's just kicking a ball about, isn't it? It's not.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
but-
but at the moment, we are kicking a fucking ball about. The important thing is to make notes whenever the ball lands anywhere.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Totally agree.
And, you know, it may not have anything to do with radiation. It may not have anything to do with magnetism. It may be something completely different.
But it's definitely something.
It's something.
Yeah. No, we all agree on that. Right, guys, I'm going to stop the show now. We've been going 2 hours, near
Oh, it
enough.
was lovely having Jonathan on again.
Oh, it's been brilliant. We
Despite-
still have only
despite what Eric
scratched the
said.
surface.
Yeah,
Before we go, I just want to say, like, I've put the CFZ website in the comments. Please go and check it out because they have a whole array of books
Yes.
on all sorts of subjects. I mean, I did throw one out for you to have a look at. You can get this there. There are other books there. There are some amazing subjects, lots of research there. If you're
I ordered that
interested in
today.
any of that,
Oh, did you?
Yes.
That's the one I'm most proud of, I think, that one.
Looks like a bloody good book. Mind, your books are good.
Yeah,
I have been
very
eyeing
good.
up one of Richard Freeman's books on there, to be honest.
Do you know, I ordered one of his as well. The one about the Forgotten Ape, the Pendek.
Yeah.
That's a really good book. That's a really
it looks good book. Looks a good
But
book.
have a look on there. I mean, and there's a plethora of information for everybody. And if you have any stories yourself, or you want to let Jonathan know about anything that you've seen yourselves, they can do it through the website, and
If
they
you do
can.
it to the website, what will probably happen though is I'll probably set Guinevere on you, but
She's lovely, by the way.
And that's the point. Please remember that when you go out in the field, irrespective of whether you're ghost hunting or you're looking for cryptids or whatever, if you're using an EMF meter, if you get any anomalies on it, send the information with the map reference to where it was, and date, time, anything. Put it all down, information. Send it to Gwyn at the CFZ, please.
You could use what 3 words?
Yeah, no. it's not
What
fine.
3 words?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the
Don't
same.
give her credit.
It is the same.
You know, when women get credit, they don't stop. See, I'm a dick.
God, I thought I was sexist. Shut up, Dan.
You've got no idea.
Don't try and get out of it, Jonathan. You don't know what you were doing.
No idea what he's really like.
I'm beginning to learn. I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled.
I knew
I'll
you
pay-
were my favourite.
See, I'll pay for it though.
Thank you, my dear.
Yeah. So yeah, use what 3 words if you're not good with technology. Use that and just send it to. But yeah, have a look at that website. It really is worth a good look.
Definitely.
And books and anything you want to know, even if you have just questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, you can always ask.
Contact
There's a contact form on the website. Somebody will get back to you. I'm not always promising it's me, but if there's anything you do want to know, you can always get in touch with me through Viv as well. So
There you go.
Yeah. And also, if you want to leave any money in your will to the CFZ to pay for any future expeditions over to the Far East, please do so.
Care of Dan Winters.
I'm just trying it on.
for
We
the
know
last time this evening, fuck off, Dan.
How shall I fuck off, Almighty One?
Oh, don't call him a mighty one, for God's sake, Dan. Oh, dear. Right. We're going to end it here.
I think we ought to end it here. It's getting out of hand.
So you're coming back on, Jonathan,
Yes.
aren't you, soon?
Yeah, you want me?
Brilliant.
Come back on.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.